we're really excited to introduce Ascenders to the community finally. We've been working on Ascenders for a while. But yeah, I'll give a little introduction about myself. Before I go on my background, my CV background, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a avid gamer. I've been gaming since I was very small, five playing in the Game Boys. I still play all the games, read a lot of mangas. That's part of my routine of the day, and I invest into the blockchain space since a while now. So I'm kind of like crypto gaming or GameFi is really a intersection of all of these three things: gaming, blockchain. I guess kind of like the artsy manga side of things. So I'm like the CEO of Legendary Foundry Games, or LFG. And Ascenders is our game that we want to launch into the space. So a bit about my corporate background, I guess. I was a lawyer. I was a corporate lawyer doing a lot of IPOs and M&As back in the day. I one day I was talking to my seniors, and I I realized that on his Facebook he wrote writing a book in his status, and I was like, "Hey man, I didn't know you had an artistic side of you, man. Like, what kind of book are you writing?" He said, "Prospectus." So that's when I realized that I really needed a career change, um, and um, and that's why I actually jumped into crypto in 2018, 17, 18. I joined Spartan Capital. I was kind of the first employee in Hong Kong. I built the fund, like the foundation of that, with Kelvin back in the day. And then later, I stayed inside I bought in the crypto top, as most people do in their first time experience in crypto. But then I stayed in the whole space. I built a security token platform, and then I was kind of a degen investor after the COVID crisis. I was investing or looking into like DeFi a lot. So I was farming um, Curve, Sushi, Wi-Fi, Yam, on the first day. And that's when I was like the top degen score holder back in the day. I was the top retroactive airdropper for many of these protocols, and I farmed like kind of like uh, kind of Ponzi coins back in the day, and they crash and burn. So I was honing my kind of product market fit of what kind of products would work in crypto. And I decided to make this game, Senders, after being very frustrated with like the games that were produced out there, and I wanted to build a game that interested me. So this is how we came about and decided to do um, this game.
Awesome. Thanks for that background. It's really exciting to hear the journey that you went through all the way from being a lawyer to being a DGen, and now you're building this awesome game. So really excited to have you. We also have Ed Chang, our director of gaming at Avalabs. Ed, you want to get a quick intro?
Hey everybody, people are probably tired of hearing me on spaces, but it's great to see everyone here and a lot of folks in the community supporting and a ton of people kind of messaging us and are super excited about Ascender. So really excited to sit down with Jack and dive deeper.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks for jumping on. So I'll let you guys take it away and go through the upcoming game.
Cool. So Jack, thanks for hopping on. So you've been a lawyer, you've been an investor, and now you're an entrepreneur. I think you're a Tiger Parents Dream. You talked a little bit about seeing like a need in the space for a really fun to play Web3 game. Give us your opinions on the lay of the land right now for crypto gaming and why Ascenders.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I was very disappointed as an investor when looking at these like gaming decks. None of them really just appealed to me. The valuations are didn't really justify the games, right? Like you see the games like Soul Chicks, they're like kind of meh, and kind of you see kind of like what's great about crypto is we do a lot of A/B tests. But then a lot of these games are anchoring around the same Axie model. They're A/B testing the same kind of games out there. So like pool one, pool two games are fun. I had a fair share of playing those. I was up at 6 a.m. trying to not get rug pulled, and that's like there's a thrill in that, and there's like a definitely a space for that. Um, but a lot of these crypto games are like these are crypto with like Axie and these pool one, pool two games. There's a space for that, and I really enjoy some of them. But at the same time, when you talk about games, right? That's not really the kind of games that I want to play. That while I was thinking of crypto. So that's the first category of games is games that are they have a strong crypto foundation. And then they put a game on top of it. So like cheap game where they have the NFTs, they have the pull one, pull two thing, and they rely on Ponzi-nomics, which is fun. And then there's the second category of games that we're seeing now is, Star Atlas. They take an existing game like EVE Online or Star Citizen and then add crypto on top of it. So take an existing game with an existing blueprint and they just add crypto on top of it. And I just thought that was not very compelling as a game experience because I think that the best type of crypto games that will come out in the future will have a very strong crypto foundation, but then build a compelling AAA kind of game experience on top of it. So that's where we're coming from. We're building a game, basically not with new foundations and a different type of a game experience out there. So that's where we're thinking about.
Cool, and we'll dive much deeper into it. Just looking on Twitter, a lot of people have questions and concerns and feedback, and we're 24 hours after announced, so I'm sure there's a lot to discuss. But you, as you mentioned, have kind of a crypto brain, a lot of interesting background experience, but aren't a game developer. So, tell us a little about the team that you've assembled to be able to go build this vision and how you met them.
Yeah, I actually met one of my co-founders during my security token days. I was in an incubator in AppWorks, and I met him, and he was like a veteran game developer, been in Activision for 20 years, and he built one of the Call of Duty franchises in China. And that's how we got started. So I was frustrated. I needed to build a game. I wanted to build a game for myself. So that's where I started. And I gave him this challenge about ascenders. And then we assembled the crew. So we have Will. Will has been a game developing for 35 years. His first game is from Commodore 64. He was a senior director in Ubisoft, where he actually was senior. He was in an editorial team where he oversaw all the game studios under Ubisoft. So he worked on multiple game titles, Ghost Recon, Alien vs Predator, many of the Assassin's Creed. And we have different game designers there. We have Chris. He's been in game development for 20 years. He was the lead designer in Rockstar and Capcom. He's developed like 4 GTA titles: GTA 3, GTA Vice City, GTA San Andreas, and GTA 4. And we have other team members who's, as I said, done Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, the infrastructure side of things. So he basically ran all the back end of the multiplayer aspect of it. He built a BattleNet as well, half of BattleNet as well. So we have a very strong team, and my role is basically to educate and shape their thinking in building a game in Web3, because it's a very different kind of a experience and a different type of audience there. So yeah, this is basically how the team is bound.
Nice. Sounds like you've assembled like the Avengers of gaming and crypto. So I do want to kind of take a little bit of a side route here. It's really interesting that you've managed to kind of bring in these minds with deep kind of AAA Web 2 game dev experience. Like, were they already looking at Web 3? Were they curious about crypto gaming? Did you have to do some kind of red pilling with them, or kind of how do they see the lay of the land? Because crypto gaming can sometimes be a little controversial in more of like the Web 2 circles.
Yeah, it's a super interesting question. I mean, some people were already into crypto. They've been looking at crypto for a while as a new experience. So one of the team members is part of Central Tech in Activision, which basically they see all the technology before it's released. So like the Wiimotes, basic kinetic. VR all the handsets. So you've been trying that before, and see if they could really tell a more compelling game experience. Um, so some people are more inclined to it. A lot of game developers, interestingly, Web2 developers are kind of against NFTs, and it's definitely very interesting. I have to convince them about what we're trying to build. So I actually find it very much easier to convince them to build Ascenders by telling him the whole vision of the game, and showing the ambition of the game and what you're trying to push forward with crypto gaming and NFTs out there. It's a genre that is not mature, and there are a lot of kind of rug pulls out there. But like it's for me, it's a much easier to build a ambitious game than building one of these NFT projects out there. But like yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of time to convince them and recruit them to start building this game.
Well, you did a great job recruiting. Let's go into the fun part now. Let's dive into the world of Ascenders. So, you know, I've heard you talk about it. It's like a Zelda inspired world with an Eve Online economy. But before we go into any of that, let's talk about just set the vision for us. Like what is the storyline? What does the world look like? What are the characters' backstories? Like dive into that for us.
Yeah, so basically we wanted to the story is basically a human race landing in an alien planet. And everything is new in this planet. So the civilization is surrounds around a spaceship that landed, and basically it's around this area that people are discovering. So human race comes over with their technology, and they explore this alien world, and discovers that the creatures there are mythical. They're the mythical properties that science can't explain. So in a way, it's a story about like humans settling into a new area, a new world. And this is the basic story of the game, without leaking too much of the story, as I would like people to slowly discover the story through playing the game.
Nice. Okay. How are you thinking about telling that story then? Give us a little bit of alpha here.
Yeah, so I think typically it's like typical game storytelling. You have it's a PvE game where you land, and then there's tutorials where they educate you about the general world, and how you would fight these monsters or aliens in this planet. And you do quests. You go out and explore this world. So it's a kind of like an open exploration game like Zelda, and through that exploration, you slowly talk to different NPCs and learn about that story over there. So it's a typical like open action RPG kind of game. There's no set path, so we don't force you to take on quests or anything. You do so in your own leisure. And I think it's a more loosely based. It's you if you want, you could do all these side quests before doing the main quest. I think that tells the main story of the game.
Got it. Okay. So in terms of genre, it sounds like it's mainly kind of a PvE open world experience. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the kind of experience that we're doing. PVE, but PvP is definitely like something planned, but like further out in the future, because um, you to build a really good game, you really have to build a really strong PvE background first. And we have it's like a bit like Monster Hunter, where there's when you conquer dungeons, it's a multiplayer experience, but like it's a overworld where you freely explore, and find places, dungeons to conquer.
Cool. In terms of like the game launch and what's going to be available at launch, Like what parts of the game do you see being playable, and what's going to come kind of later down the road?
Yeah, it's an open world is probably one of the hardest genres to build, right? Harder than that is doing a full MMO RPG with 30 ping. That's definitely a very, very hard. They're the hardest genre you could build. But open world, so we obviously need all the elements to be ready at day one. So this is why it's going to take about a long time to build. About since I think end of quarter 4 next year, we will be able to release an alpha or release the game version out there. What's available to play is people could go out and fight dungeons on explore the overworld. The overworld's going to be massive. There's many places to explore. There's a very big map. There is going to be you know auction houses, marketplaces, AMMs in the space as well. That's to be built. So we want to decentralized economy is definitely a core part of our identity as a game. Um, and yeah, we want also a space. So there's a place where you could fight and explore these dungeons. There's a place where you could trade your NFTs or resources, and there's also a place for you to build. So you can express yourself through building on land. When I was playing Clash of Clans, what I always enjoyed was building on land, and I think that's an enjoyable aspect of the game as well.
Cool. Okay. We are on the Avalanche Twitter right now, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask. When going into thinking about the chain you were building on, what are some of the decisions? Why Avalanche? We're seeing kind of this progression towards more core AA, AAA games. Fan was on last week talking about why he chose Avalanche for Ragnarok, but I want to hear directly from you. Why Avalanche? What were some of those decisions, and how did you decide?
Yeah, we definitely explored many of the chains. We spoke to all the major L1s, and definitely I mean, the reason why I chose Avalanche is because Ed is there. Ed was speaking to us, and he was a very good salesman. But yeah, no. On a more serious note, I mean, personally, I've always been a fan of Avalanche. I've been an investor. I've been holding a large stake of Avalanche myself. That wasn't the deciding factor. I just thought the whole experience is very smooth. From bridging to running transactions is very smooth. But I really like the roadmap of Avalanche. Building subnets for different games, and I personally thought that it makes a lot of sense. Where if we were playing our game and suddenly Bitcoin crashes 40% and prices spike up, I don't want that to affect the feeling or transactions in my game. So having a subnet really makes a lot of difference. Makes a lot of sense, and we could scale better and control our control the transaction prices a little bit better. So I think that's what makes Avalanche different from all the other chains in the space.
Yeah, and you went for the home run. You announced not only the game but building on subnets, which we're obviously thrilled about and investing a ton into. So really excited to see that progress. We did forget to talk a little bit about this, but talk about kind of the game engine that you guys are using. What made you decide that, and then how is this game going to be playable off the bat, and then what does that vision look like?
Yeah, we're building on the Unreal Engine. So there's two major engines you could use, Unreal or Unity. They each have their own advantages and disadvantages. Unity's better with mobile usually. Unreal is a much more full-fledged kind of a triple A kind of game engine out there. Um, the decision was really simple. I mean, the team were all Unreal engineers, and they're used to building AAA quality games. So it was really a no-brainer in that sense that we chose Unreal. What are your other questions again, Ed?
It was how is this game going to be played? Is this in the browser? Is this an app?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's going to be a downloadable game. So I mean, I personally don't like the browser games a lot. I mean, I played all the Flash games back in the days. Played Winter Bell. There's this McDonald's game farming, and I've all those Flash games back in the day. Those are fun, but they can't really tell a compelling game experience. You need a very immersive game uh, feeling, and you could only do that by building like a game that people download. So we could tell a much more compelling game story and experience out there. So that's the genre that we're thinking about.
Got it. Makes sense. Downloading the game is some friction, right, to potential players. How are you thinking about distribution? Have you gone that far yet? Are you still exploring options?
Yeah, I think we're trying to go with Epic Game Store. That's supported with Unreal Engine, and they voiced its support with crypto. We could also it's downloadable also from our website, so that's another avenue for people to do distribution. But a lot of the distribution is like hopefully like a bit of word of mouth. People come and download our game. But yeah, distribution is definitely a hard part of crypto gaming, as you kind of see. Most of the mobile games that you play out there, you have to download the APK. It's not a very intuitive experience for most average gamers out there. But yeah, it's definitely a hard problem to be solved. And I think yeah, that's basically how we're thinking about it.
Got it. Well, you've got some time as you're thinking about distribution, obviously. I want to kind of flip to the metaverse economy that you've envisioned. So I remember the first time we talked, you guys, really thought out these player lanes. Explain, the different roles that someone can take when they jump into the world of Ascenders and how you're thinking around that.
Yeah, so before that, I just want to talk about like how we were thinking about what a decentralized economy should look like. I've taken a lot of inspiration from Lego. I played that, when I was very small. Parents spent a lot of money on this Lego. I had built this Lego castles, but the Lego inventor was creating these wooden toys for people to play in, and he thought that process was too top down. So he was trying to solve a problem called and he trying to solve a problem and try to create system in play. And what that means is he made these Lego bricks, and these Lego bricks are interchangeable with each other, and they snap together very well. And what he's done really well is all these Lego bricks you buy 50 years ago would be interchangeable bricks you buy today. And that's what makes Lego bricks always valuable, always have instant value. The way we're thinking about decentralized economy is when you kill monsters in our game, they don't drop you swords or helmets like Diablo 2. They drop you resources, and those people take those resources to craft items in our game. So all the NFTs, all functional NFTs with stats in them, are built by the players. So they're crafted by the players, and that makes a much compelling gaming experience out there than many of the crypto games are out there, I think. You kind of see Star Atlas selling spaceships, and I think that's ultimately a top down approach. You kind of see them selling $1 million worth of spaceships, and as a player, when I look at that, I'm like, well, I already like if I was a whale, I would have bought the most expensive spaceship, and when I play the game, what's the point of playing the game, right? I already got my end game ship. What's the purpose of me playing the game anymore? So we don't want to do something like that. So we want to build a decentralized economy. So people play the game, they build the items, and they get emotional attachment to the items they build because the sword would say it's crafted by you. So that's the fundamental building block of thinking about a game. So we came about thinking about the game in a different perspective. So first, we need a decentralized economy. Second, as you mentioned about the metaverse, if you're building a game, you need to build a game for various types of people out there, right? There's different types of people playing the games out there, and you need to cater a different type of experience for each type of player. Let me give you an example, right? I play League of Legends. I'm like more of a casual player in League of Legends. I'm like silver, kind of like bronze now. I've D-ranked but there are people who enjoy playing ranked and enjoy being the best at the game, right? And so they spend their time refining their craft, reading all the patch notes, and being the best. So we have a lane for them. We call it the fighter lane, and these are competitive players.
You actually call it the fighter lane, right?
Yeah, fighter lane. Yeah. That's we have to be crypto relevant and crypto meme, so we call it fighter lane. But yeah, these are the people who are looking for action. They're fighting dungeons, and yeah, we have a set of resources that are uniquely found in these dungeons for this type of player. And then yes, people are more casual explorers. So these people are they play the game because they enjoy the story. They like to explore the world. They do story quests. They like to pick up apples in the floor. They like to mine ores out there, and we have a unique set of resources for them. Finally, we have also the builder lane. Basically, these are people who like to play the metagame, like Kobe. They basically read all their patch notes and figure out what's going to be the next meta. So they stock up the resources they buy from other players, and then they would craft items, and then they sell it to players out there. So the way we've been envisioning the game economy is that to create a sword or a helmet or an item or building, you need resources from all three lanes: the fighter, the explorer, and also the builder lane. So basically, they're forced to trade with each other. And that creates a very dynamic economy. So when you think about economies, you think about a velocity of the currency, a velocity of these resources. And our business model for the game is to take transaction fees. And that's an organic way where different types of player with different types of personality can interact with each other, and they all three lanes build the economy together, and they work together to build the economy together. Basically, that's how we've been thinking about the game economy.
Got it. And so ideally, someone would be a master of one versus playing all three lanes because you have a role to play. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, you could specialize, or you could do all three. I know how I was thinking about these player roles is that you get off work, you're stressed, and you want to play the game more casually. So you play the explorer lane. You just do the story quests, see what kind of monsters out there, and on the weekends you could go challenge yourself and fight these dungeons with your friends. So it's and then you could you could also read the patch notes, figure out how do you optimize your portfolio in the Ascenders metaverse, and you can play to earn that way. So there's different ways you can play to earn in our game, whereas a lot of the crypto games out there, they only have really one way to play to earn, and I think that's kind of boring, and that's how we've been thinking about building a game economy.
So would you consider Ascenders a play to earn game?
Yeah, I think it's a play to earn game, but the earning component is not I think the most important part of it. I think a lot of crypto games out there relying on a lot of Ponzi-nomics, like Axie's model, or they changed this model before, relies you to buy 3 Axies, and then you take these Axies to breed more Axies, and hopefully someone buys your Axies. So the game economy relies on new players coming in all the time. Whereas the way we've designed the economy is, if we have 10,000 players enjoying and trading frequently with each other, the game's extremely profitable. And if we have 1 million players, 10 million players, it's even better. So, that's how we've been thinking about play to earn, and that's the way we're thinking about it.
Cool. Want to now get into like the NFTs. Obviously, you show a lot of elements in the trailer. But talk to me about all the different NFTs in the game, and most importantly for me, tell me about the companion dog, because I definitely need one of those.
Yeah, I think the way we've been thinking about NFTs is we want the players to create all the NFTs that have stats, are functional, have utility in the game, right? So weapons, armors, helmets, structures, buildings. And all the cosmetic NFTs like character skins, companions, and also the land is from the developer. We could also that's also the reason why is we want to control the feel and the look of the game, and that's I think that's what makes we could also run some competitions for the community to decide what kind of skins could be put inside the game as well. So those are general NFTs that we're thinking about. So we are actually really constraining ourselves because we all the NFTs that are going to be played in the game are created by the players rather than from the developers. But yeah, that's how we're thinking about it.
Okay. We had talked before about maybe some interoperability of NFTs. Is that still something that you guys are thinking about? Is that something for down the road?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think one of the easiest way we're thinking about bringing other NFTs to in our game is definitely trying to bring. We want to bring. I think what makes DeFi really compelling was uh, you could stake your tokens in Aave in a lower protocol, and that interoperability made DeFi really interesting. And I kind of wanted to replicate that inside of a game. One thing we could do very simply is take some of the communities that we see in a space like CryptoPunks, Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, Loots, and they could take those NFTs to mint a unique character or hero or companions in our game as well. There are some challenges to doing that. Namely, firstly, there are copyright issues with these things, and also, when you have 10,000 punks, we need to find a designer to do 10,000 punks. So this is not the approach we're going to do it. The way we're going to do it is we're taking a page from generative NFTs out there, and we're just gonna like take. So you have a punk. And basically, we take the traits of your punk and generate a new NFT that is inspired by that punk. So it's from a punk and it's unique to like. There's only 10,000 of them in our game, and people could sell them if they wanted to or flex them if they wanted to. So that's how we're going to do NFT interoperability. We actually do have other ways to think about how do we bring outside tokens into our game. We could talk about guilds if you want to.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great transition. When I think about these open world, like MMORPG type games, guilds and clans play a huge role. So tell us about how you envision a guild's role. Like, have you started talking to guilds? What has the reception been like?
Yeah, we've been speaking to a lot of the major guilds out there, and the reception's been very good. I mean, the way we're thinking about guilds is that we could allow people to like guilds are really just like in a way like DAOs, right? So we're thinking about guild DAOs. So there's two ways you could go to our game, form your own guild DAO, and have your own token when you're building your own guild in our game, and it'll be a kind of a hub between different type of players. So yeah, as I said, there's different player lanes. People have different personalities, and the guild's a place where they could work together and collaborate. Um, and chat rooms, leaderboards. These are some of the basic functions that we'll put inside, and we want to allow also people like guilds to build their own tool sets into the game as well, because we're building a subnet. So voting, snapshot, that's stuff that you could build into the game as well. Um, and I think it's be super interesting because guilds has their own treasury, their own lands, their all their own items, and I think one really cool thing is that external NFTs like external guilds could also build a guild in our game as well. So just say GuildFi, Merit Circle, they could build their own guild, and they could have membership requirements because all these guilds have a treasury. So there might be we're creating utility for these kind of guild tokens out there as well. So that membership is one way to enter into a guild, or you can have no membership requirements. You could say if you want to have senior membership in a guild, responsible lending these NFTs out, you need to hold a certain amount of merit circle tokens. So that's how we're thinking about interoperability with guilds in our game as well.
Interesting. What about the token economy? What does that look like? How many tokens, and how did you think about constructing that token economy?
Yeah, touch upon the basic token economy and how people are kind of how basically our basic economy game loop works. Um, Basically, I think our economy actually we have a lot of different things because we're building an action RPG. A lot of it's like I call this a full stack economy where we have our governance token, we have our in-game currencies, we have NFTs in our space, and we could also build really cool things like building an in-game bank where like for example a player has a lot of additional wood they deposit in the in-game bank and some other player needs 500 wood to complete their structure so they borrow it out. We could have NFT marketplaces and have an AMM where people are pairing brick against sand, sand against wood, wood against mithril, and that's how we bring like people who are not in crypto into the crypto sphere and understand what we're trying to do in DeFi. And we're going to allow other people to build other infrastructure on top of our game as well. So we become like a more of a platform. So I have friends that are building NFT lending platforms that could be built in our game as well. We open up to developers to build build that kind of economy in their space.
Got it. You talked about making kind of DeFi and some of these trading aspects really really easy to understand for maybe non-crypto natives. How else are you thinking about onboarding normies? Is there custodial wallets or easy kind of fiat on ramps that you're thinking about as well?
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely a challenge in the space, and definitely a very big challenge in the space, right? I mean, in one spectrum, you could do a centralized approach to gaming, where you do custodial wallets, kind of like Binance and all the centralized exchanges. You just need to log in. You might have to KYC, and they provide a custodial wallet for you. And the other end of the spectrum, you see totally native crypto games out there that don't require KYC out there. Um, the way we're thinking about it is that we prefer the latter approach. I mean, I did security token before, right? It's super highly centralized kind of a platform, and that didn't really play out very well. And I think making it as open as possible makes the game a lot more interesting, in my opinion. So the way we're thinking about the game architecture is that basically you download a clean game client. When you log in, you need to run a transaction to freeze all the in-game assets. You have to agree and approve to freeze all the in-game assets, so all your NFTs, all your in-game resources, all the tokens, and then we cache that into our centralized server and we play the game there. And then if prices spike like crazy, you don't have to log off yet. But when you decide to log off, we save the state and we update everything in your wallet. So I think that's the best kind of architecture design where we don't have crazy gas prices. You don't have to run. Every time you mine a wood or mine an ore, you don't have to save run gas transactions. I think that's the best way we could um, be decentralized, but give a very compelling game experience.
Well, you are building on subnets, so hopefully the gas spike narrative is at a minimum to zero, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Cool. Let's go into the last section that we have, and I think we're going to try to take a few questions after if we have some time left. But want to talk about future. So I've saved this question till the end because probably most people are here for this reason. I can't tell you how many messages I got asking how to get into the Discord, which is closed right now. Tell us about how you're thinking about launching and bringing people into the ecosystem. We'll start with that.
Yeah, I mean, the way we've been thinking about it is we want to deliver first and showcase that we can deliver a game. So we've been working hard in the background. We've only really revealed like less than 5% of kind of the content we've developed out there. We've really taken a very careful approach. I think you personally seen some of the content we built out, and we've been holding that off for a long time, because we wanted to create the credibility and trust for the community, and that's how we're approaching community building and developing the space. Definitely. Meanwhile, we could develop a lot of different type of content for people to stay engaged. But yeah, I think we'll be releasing something very soon for the players during the Ava Summit. So stay tuned about that, and stay tuned and follow our Twitter. So you'll be updated to what we have in store for you guys.
Got it. So if I hear you correctly, you're going to be at Avalanche Summit and something will be announced there around gameplay. Is that correct?
That's right.
This is a reward for following Avalanche and staying tuned to our spaces. Talk about some other timelines here in terms of token launch, NFT sales. Do you have any more info on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we would be we're thinking about our token launch around late April. And we'll do the token launch before our NFTs, simply because I don't think we're planning it. I kind of want to avoid the Pixelmon approach out there. And we're working through a lot of these NFT game characters, land sales, that's in store. Yeah, I mean, we have a very different way of thinking about PFPs and stuff like that. If you want to dig into that, or we could wait for a next time to talk about that.
No, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a huge difference between like a PFP profile NFT sales and like the game development character process. Like, firstly, game character development and is very different from PFPs. For example, right? If you watch a movie, if you watch a Batman series, the most compelling character are the villains. It's Jokers out there and all the crazy characters out there, like they're lunatics. So like it's and those probably won't make very good PFPs because people don't resonate with them. But these are very compelling characters. So there's characters that are oversized, or small size. People don't resonate with them. Whereas PFP characters are more like protagonists. They're the main characters. Like when you see kind of Azuki, which I like the NFT a lot. There's a movement there on Twitter where people are showcasing their own personal pictures and next to their PFPs. So I think what we're trying to do first is design the archetypes of all the game characters there, villains out there, NPCs out there first. And then once we got those set in stone, we then turn our attention to what our protagonists would look like. And those are our NFTs for our games.
Interesting. Very exciting to see how this all is going to play out. What about white paper, tokenomics? When can people who want to dive into that get their hands on it?
Yeah, we'll release it at least before the end of the month. So around Ava Summit, yeah, or at the end of the Ava Summit, yeah.
Cool. A game of this magnitude and the team that you're assembling isn't cheap. Like you've raised money. Assuming, what can you say about that? When can we hear more about your investors or the other partners that you're bringing in?
Yeah, we'll make the announcement for our investors in the next coming week or two, and you could hear about that. Yeah, so that's oncoming with our content as well.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us, Jack. I want to open up Q&A to the audience, actually. So if you're interested in asking a question to Jack, make sure you request, and Kyle will take care of you. And I did get one message about a clarification around how you're going to work with guilds. Jackson. This is courtesy of Leo from FIF.
Yeah.
In terms of, can you explain a little bit about how you're thinking about how you work with guilds? I think someone was asking for a refresh.
Oh, right. Basically, we're trying to allow external guilds to build our guild in our game as well. So we allow the guild to bring their suite of tools. We definitely have our basic tools like chat room, leaderboards, and the guild leader could issue challenges to all the members, missions, and then provide bounties to the players. Like for example, if you need to build a guild hall, which takes a lot of resources, and you need a lot of certain type of ore, you could give a bounty to all your guild members, and that's a feature in our game. And then reward them with your own guild tokens, or you reward them with other kind of tokens that you have in your treasury. Um, those are the kind of the people that that's how we're trying to think about guilds. The guild management tool system on voting roles is determined by the guilds itself. So skills might want to run snapshot. They might want to run Discord on their on how they run the day-to-day operations of a guild, and what the guild decides to build, right? We have a lot of structures that you could build in our game. We could build houses, smitheries, um, guild halls, and the guilds will have to make a strategic decisions on what to build, and that's what a guild will have to do. A DAO would have to decide who gets to make these decisions on what to build in our game as well. So it's a very interesting way people could work together and for a common purpose of building a guild.
Great, thanks for that clarification. Kyle, I'm going to hand the mic back over to you to handle the questions for Jack.
Awesome, thanks, Jack. That was a really, really interesting rundown, and I'm sure a lot of people are really excited about what's coming and maybe we have a few questions. Yeah, if anybody has any questions for Jack here, please request to be a speaker. Let's make sure that the questions are super relevant towards Ascenders and what they're building. I know there's a million things going on in the Avalanche ecosystem, but let's try to keep it on track here because we only got a few minutes, so I'll let a few people on. I think 0x Razzletol, I think you were up here first, so let's see if you can connect.
Hey.
Also, as a reminder, you have to be on your mobile phone to be able to speak, just so people know. Can you try to speak?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
all
great.
Right.
Go for it.
First off, thanks all three of y'all for hosting this. A lot of what was said resonated with me since I've been a gamer my entire life, etc. My question is, a lot of these games, these crypto games you've seen so far, sort of price out the little guy, as it were, normies, as Ed said earlier. Is there a mechanism in the game, or is that something that is sort of thought of, or are you cognizant that the game shouldn't reach a point too fast where assets within the game are out of reach of those normies?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's something we thought about a lot. Definitely, we don't require any kind of NFTs and skins to play our game. Those are mostly cosmetic. We could try to think about great function for these NFTs, but we don't want that kind of a barrier for people to play the game. This is kind of like how I see many of these crypto games. I feel like that exactly how you feel, like it prices out many of the players. We have a land economy in our game that we didn't touch upon this time. But one thing you could do, there's two ways to acquire land in our game. One way is that you buy the land from a land auction, or you buy from the player. That's one way to acquire land. The other way you could acquire land is be very skilled at the game. We will run this competition called Battle for Land, and this is where people could basically run tournaments, and the best type of players who win the tournaments would be able to buy our land at a very, very cheap price, a very highly discounted price. And that's how we're going to balance between the different. And at the end of the day, it's a balance, right? You definitely whales need to flex their wealth, and they like to buy the biggest piece of land at the most central location. There is going to, so as I described before, the land around the spaceship is the most valuable, and those will be sold in the land sale in the future. And those give the most consistent resource output out there. And then there's land in the frontiers, far away, next to the aliens and stuff like those. Those are lands for the battle for land concept, and those lands will be kind of inconsistent in the resource production. But then there's super rare resources there, like mithril, and those lands are not found where the whales are playing at. So the whales want to get that resources, but it's a luck of a draw to get that land. So it's a balance between keeping whales interested, but at the same time keeping giving a chance for new players to come in. So that's how we're thinking about to make this game accessible for people.
Awesome. Thanks for the question. All right, let's go on to the next person. I think we had Coop at Review Blocks. Let me add you up here. Let's see if this works. Go ahead. See if you can speak.
Hey guys, thanks for hosting this. Jackson, I was wondering how you think about third-party NFT marketplaces, and if there's an opportunity for you to partner more closely with one to handle some of the trading that happens within the game, or if it's, in your vision, all happening within the game.
We really don't mind third-party marketplaces trading our NFTs. I mean, we do take a percentage of transaction fees of the NFT value as well. So it's probably easier for us to develop the marketplace in the game because it's an integrated experience with the gameplay. But I really don't mind external NFT or external third marketplaces, AMMs out there. If they develop a much more compelling product out there and people love to trade there, why not, right? I think that's the spirit of DeFi, and I think we want to keep true to that in our game.
Awesome, thanks.
Great question, thanks. Let's try another one here. We had Leo Bailey, Alchemy of Awesome. Let's try this, see if you can speak. There you are, go for it.
Yeah, it was kind of back on the marketplace thing. Like, did you have any plans in place for that? Because I mean, having people use in-game stuff, kind of like limits reach a bit to who you've reached through marketing. I didn't know if there was any thoughts that went towards trying to reach more people through third-party marketplaces.
Yeah, as I said before, I don't mind people trading in other platforms, third-party platforms, marketplaces. I definitely try to keep it as free, as open as possible. In our game, our own marketplaces are more tightly integrated in the game, just because we could tweak with the game a little bit. But and also if there's a third-party marketplace that develops very well, then the DAO could vote in and for us to integrate that more tightly into our game. That will be very interesting as well. I think that's a very important point. The thing is that we can't integrate everybody into the game. We create tailored experiences in the game for practical reasons, firstly. And secondly, we have no control of a third party, which is maybe a good thing and a bad thing. So I'm afraid someone creating a third-party marketplace that ends up being a rug pull, and it seems like we endorsed it by integrating it into the game. So we'll let DAO decide what kind of third party they want to integrate in the game, but we want to be open as possible. And that's how we're thinking about it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm totally down to support this. The project sounds awesome. If it's cool, I'll just shoot you a DM and pick your brain about the DAO so I can get off the stage here.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for the question. Let's try one more here. We have Alvaro Gonzalez. See if that works for you. Let's see if this works. There we are. Go ahead and ask a question. Looks like you're still on mute. Alvaro, are you there? Alvaro, are you able to come off mute or see if it's working? All right. Let's go to one more. We'll try one more, and then we'll do some closing thoughts. I know we had Kevin Ferrari. Let's try this one out. All right, Kevin, are you there?
Can
Can
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
yep.
Thank you for hosting me, and congratulations for your presentation. Needless to say that now I'm even more hyped. This is crazy.
Thank you.
My question is very short and quick. Will there be a coin to help and support the project, for example, ELV for Illuvium or something like that?
Yeah, we definitely want a governance token to govern the game. And like DAO thing is super interesting, where people could vote on like direction of the game. Like we have a lot of things we want to build, but at the end of the day, we don't know which some features we should just let the community decide what features we want to prioritize. That's one thing. We also would have basically the governance token also grants access to certain events. It's like a battle pass in a way. And yeah, the DAO would have its treasury, and the owners would decide what to do with the treasury. So those are kind of the ideas we have in mind. Like a 1557 effect. So these are some of the ideas we have for the governance token, and we're very happy to integrate any good ideas about to building a very we're trying to make it as decentralized as possible, and give the ecosystem, the players, to play the game and to govern the game.
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Kevin. All right. So it looks like we're right up against the time. Really want to thank Jack for coming on. This has been an amazing talk. I'm sure everybody here is really looking forward to the game. Ed, thank you once again for hosting and walking us through this. Before we get to final words, we did drop a link to the Ascenders Twitter account here in the spaces. So make sure you go and follow them, check out the amazing trailer they put out, and track along and look for more announcements coming up here around the summit. So Ed, any final parting words?
Going big on GameFi in a huge way this year. So stay tuned. We've got more announcements leading up to Summit, and then Jack and other awesome games will be presenting at Summit. It'll be streamed. If you're there in person, you can meet them, and we're stoked. So thanks, everyone.